how can you get fast, unconscious results when you're speaking to somebody? And ultimately, that kind of comes down to speaking with the unconscious mind, not speaking to that part of the mind that is critical, that questions everything. So today we're going to be carrying on this series where we're talking about hypnotic language and how it works and why it's so powerful and how easy it is to learn some of the basics. So first of all, welcome to another episode of Unconscious Communication Secrets. And today, as I said, we are talking about hypnotic language. I'm going to be talking to you about specifically confusion language and why it's important, why it works, and how it works when it comes to creating hypnotic language. So first of all, I want you to imagine, like in these movies where there's a guy that's he wants to go and speak to the CEO, but there's a secretary there and she's kind of like, she guards the gate. She guards you from speaking to the CEO. So what the guy does is he goes and he distracts her. He finds a way to calls up and finds a way to distract her, says there's a fire alarm somewhere, can you go and check it? And as she goes to check that, runs and goes and sees the CEO. And that's the same with this hypnotic language, right? That's what we're ultimately trying to do, because your conscious mind is this critical part of your mind that questions everything, that, is it true? Is it this, etc.? But sometimes you want to go straight to your unconscious mind. And that's what this kind of language does. It just distracts the secretary so you can go and speak straight to the CEO. And it allows you basically to speak directly to the powerful part of the mind, right? I like this meme. I want to speak to your manager. I am the manager. So your unconscious mind is ultimately the manager, the stronger part of your mind. Now, we do this naturally, okay? This is not something that's crazy or magical or etc. We do this naturally on an every single day basis. When you're driving home and you have a conversation, what happens is, or let's say you're having a conversation with someone and you're driving home. Who do you think is driving home? If your conscious mind is not paying attention to the road, your unconscious mind kind of takes over, right? Like you're in the middle of this heated conversation with your spouse or whatever, you're just focusing on talking. Your conscious mind is occupied by talking. Your unconscious mind just drives you home, right? Like it's the part of your mind that doesn't have to critically think. It just it's the autopilot, right? You've also experienced where your conscious mind just sort of gives up. You go to a lecture and it's extremely complex, and then you kind of just give up. Your mind just wanders. But as soon as someone says your name, your unconscious mind is always listening. So as soon as someone says your name, that's the part that you pick up. So we do this naturally. These are things that everyone has experienced. Maybe while you're cooking something and you're watching something on Facebook on your video and you're cooking something, you're paying attention to the video. Your conscious mind is paying attention to the video, but your unconscious mind is cooking. So these are all natural ways that we experience where our conscious mind does one thing and our unconscious mind does another. It's not when people say, oh, I don't know if this is real or not, it's 100% real. It's just natural. We do it on an everyday basis. So why does, when we talk about hypnotic language, why is it powerful? Why is it so useful in this context, right? In terms of confusion language. I want you to imagine there's a pilot and he's learning how to fly. And typically when you have pilots and they're learning how to fly, or they're less senior, what do you have? You have much more experienced pilots that are there, that are guiding the learning pilot. Because what happens is, they can be doing one thing, but then all of a sudden a storm comes and you have some extreme conditions. The experienced pilot will need to take over. And that's the case here. When we're talking about confusion language, our mind struggles, but our conscious mind might struggle, but we need that experienced pilot to take over. And so when you have this part of your mind that just struggles to keep up, your unconscious mind will take over, because your unconscious mind is much more powerful. It's 90% of your mind. So we want that part of our mind to take over when things are a little bit too tough. Now, I'll give you a very quick example of what I mean. So very recently, I was speaking at an event, and it was an online event. I was speaking, and there was quite a lot of people on there, and I was doing a personal development thing. And at one point, like I've done this a number of times, at one point when I was speaking, there was someone on the call, on the chat, that said, "Oh, you know what? I've been considering, I want to kill myself." And this was the first time I had experienced, I mean, I'd never seen anything like this. It like shocked me. And I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, I have no idea what to do, what to say. I've been learning personal development for so long, but this is where it's so powerful that your unconscious mind kicks in, because some part of me just took over, right? It's some part of me just took over and just started talking from the heart. Like, and it's one of those moments where like I just snap out of it and I don't know what I said, and everyone was like, oh my God, that was amazing. Where did that come from? And that's what I mean by having that co-pilot that sort of just takes over. Your unconscious mind is so powerful. Sometimes you want it to take over, and that's why we sometimes use confusion language when it comes to hypnosis. So very quick shout out before I continue. Etienne, it is so good to see you again, brother. It must be really late for you over there in Melbourne, but appreciate you tuning in. And Miwa from Japan, what's up, my friend? Great to see you. Thank you again for tuning in. And Miwa was there when we learned a lot of these language patterns, these hypnotic language patterns. And Kelly in the UK, look at this, boom! I've got Asia, Australia, and Europe all on the call, and then I'll represent the Middle East so far. Great to see you, Kelly. How you doing? I think I just saw one of your posts, your kids going back to school, and I saw your daughter going to big school now. So congrats on that. Yeah. Hey, Shelly. Yes. Yeah. So she was going to big school now. So that's pretty awesome. All right. So anyhow, let me move on. So great to see you guys. Yes, I'm old. Yes. Hey, listen, I'm in the same boat as you, as you, dude. Like, let's not go there. I'm there. Anyhow, so talking about this hypnotic language, was a lot of it is based on a guy that's called Milton Erickson. He's the founder of modern hypnotherapy, or he's one of the greatest minds of and greatest contributors, and perhaps the best hypnotherapist that's lived. And he created a lot of these language patterns. Basically, at one point in his life, he was diagnosed with polio. He was stuck in a wheelchair, and he used to just study language, but also, and just became so natural at creating language patterns. So let me talk about confusion patterns. So if we're talking about hypnotic, Kelly, by the way, I'm talking about hypnotic language right now. You're going to find this interesting, perhaps. Maybe you can use it on your kids. So first of all, if you ever want to use confusion patterns with your kid, with anybody, the main thing is it's got to make somewhat sense, right? You can't just talk random nonsense. So you got to make some sense while confusing people. So let me give you a quick couple of examples of what I mean by hypnotic language, and in terms of creating confusion so that your unconscious mind can take over. So first of all, there are areas of confusions. You have double meanings, where they can focus. So I'll give you an example. Whenever I hypnotize someone, I might say, okay, so what are you? Are you right-handed or left-handed? And then they'll say, for example, I'm right-handed. And I'll say, okay, great. So we're going to take the hand that's right for you, and the other one is just going to be left behind. And it doesn't matter if that's your right or your left, and it doesn't matter if the left is left behind or the right is going to be left, but it's fine. Yeah, now, whatever what I've said over there has used a lot of double meanings, right? And I'm getting them to focus, but I'm confusing them because of the double meanings that are involved in that sentence. And what happens again, they get a little bit confused, and then at some point they'll just kind of be like, just do what you got to do. To a certain degree, their conscious mind just says, okay, unconscious mind, you take over. Now, another way you can create confusion language is using something called negation. So if someone says, oh, but I'm not, I'm just not happy. And I go, okay, what is not happy? And it's like that's a confusing statement, but it can make sense, because when someone says I'm not happy, what is not happy? It could be anything, but what is not happy? Is it happy? But it might not be. So it's when you use negation, again, it confuses people, but then it creates an opening where you can directly speak to the unconscious mind. And if you notice, a lot of these things do somewhat make sense. When you talk about time and space, what is everything that is here only now? You're using different references for time, space, negation, your areas of focus, your double meanings, and that creates an opening. That creates a tiny bit of confusion, which just allows you to start talking to you're distracting the secretary so that you can start going and speaking to the CEO. So I'll give you another example. There's a part of you, apart from the part, taking part in making logical sense of my words, which can part from everyday consciousness and experience deep rest and relaxation. Now that will just allow someone to relax. So what's happening is I'm creating a bit of confusion because of all the double meanings and the shifting of focus, and then get them to experience relaxation. So just after I get them confused, give a suggestion to relax, and they're more likely to relax. I can't make anyone do something that like if I said something like that and they didn't want to relax, or I gave a suggestion that they really won't want to do, it's not going to work. But this just eases the way for relaxation, if that's what you're aiming for. So phrase of the day, phrase that pays: confuse the guard and getting past isn't hard. So you want to this is just one of the foundations when it comes to hypnotic language, or when people create persuasive hypnotic language. This is how it all works. You just confuse the conscious mind a little bit so that you can create suggestions for your that go at a deeper level to your unconscious mind, which is responsible for rest and relaxation. So for example, if I just said to someone, hey, you should relax, and relax, no one's going to relax. But if you kind of did that little bit of confusion and then just like this statement, for example, you'll find that someone just might relax just a little bit easier. Obviously, as with all the other language patterns I've been doing in this series, it's a little bit of a stack. It's not just one thing. You do a couple of the others and it will make more sense. So that is me talking about confusion pattern and in terms of hypnotic language. I hope you enjoyed this this video. This series is a bit different to what I'm doing in some of the other videos, but hopefully you find it interesting and useful, and it demystifies how hypnosis works, or what it is, or like that it's magic or anything like that. So anyhow, appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you on another video very soon. Peace out. one love, and I will see you guys on another video soon. Thanks, guys.